Awesome. Well, today it is July 9th, kind of like midway through July is when most of the time I like to go through, kind of get everything finalized as far as stands go. Not do a ton of work after that, just put out feed, letting everything clear up for actual season. So we're just gonna go kind of do a run through, put out feed, put out mineral. I'm gonna get up and do some work in the stands. And then really the whole point of the video is just kind of doing a quick little walkthrough. Not necessarily like instructional or anything, but more so of just, filling you guys in on the setups that I have this season. So when hunting season comes around, you guys are somewhat familiar with the spots. Yeah, laying out corn, laying out mineral, and then getting saddles set up. So we're gonna go along and be good to go. Okay, spot number one. I set the spot up last year. It is a really trafficked area as far as deer. In all honesty, out of like any of the spots that I have cameras out on, I get the most action here, like mid to late season. That being said, I hunted this place once last year. I was not really happy with like the stand placement. On my end, I didn't really think it through too much. So we're gonna go ahead. I am gonna kind of clear up a different tree that I'm really happy about. We're going from a stand setup to a saddle setup here. Basically, it's right in this middle where it's riding a ridge, and there's a lot of bedding on top of the ridge, and then also as you kind of go further north onto the property, there's just a lot of movement, a lot of trails going through there. So the saddle tree that I'm going to put, or the tree that I'm going to put the saddle in, is right kind of on the edge of that ridge, right where it starts to work around on this little finger here. The goal of putting it there is going to be catching a lot of deer that are kind of riding that ridge. And I put mineral out, put feed out, and there's a lot of action. You guys see when we go back there, there's just tons of trails. It's a really well trafficked spot. The tree that I had last year, it's kind of right in the middle of it. The wind, unless it was like absolutely perfect, was just not ideal. This spot that I'm going to put it in now, at least the saddle tree, is going to have a couple different wind directions that I can approach from. The infill is a lot easier. I'm not going to be actually going through and like getting in the deer. We'll go through. I'll show you that. We're going to lay out corn and tear down the stand that I have up there now, put the saddle up, and be good to go. There's some thorns there, watch out. This spot last year, this was the tree that I had set up, and it was really set up for kind of a corridor shot for them coming this way, because they would come in through that path down there into this bedding area. Didn't really realize until later on that they used this direction along this ridge so much. So I put out mineral in the earlier season right along here, and you can tell, I mean, behind us here, we'll show some clips of that afterwards, it's all super thick grass, but right here, I mean, they just have it beat down so much that it's walking grass right here. So the plan is to take down the sticks and stand from that tree. I'm not going to use the stand, but then we're going to put it up in this tree that's over here and have a saddle platform set up. So that's going to be like a 20-yard shot right to this point. And earlier in the season, when everything was all dead still back in like March, I cut down tons of these branches, so it's essentially funneling them into kind of this T intersection right here. And I mean, it appears to be working. There's tons of sign in here, just tons of tracks, everything. So we're gonna put out feed here. I'm gonna tear down the sticks, put them in that tree, and just kind of leave this spot lay. So this spot right here, this tree behind me is where I actually shot my buck out of last year. And I had it set up for this spot in this clearing over this way. But I mean, almost right away, late season, when I sat up in that tree, I just noticed there was so much movement back in this area here. I had a couple bucks walk by that were looking at me, and they smelled me because my wind was set up to blow back into this area. So I have this spot set up. Right here, I cut down a couple cedars back in March and just kind of cleared this area out, and it is one of the more productive spots on the property here. You'll see on the maps, there's pretty much a funnel from these trees that these cedars kind of make a little corridor, and I mean, bucks just flow through this area here. So they kind of come out into the clearing that I set up here, and there's also a big meadow back behind this spot that it's all, I mean, they just feed into it from some of the cornfields that are more over in that direction where they come from. So I kind of wanted to put the spot here to stop them and get them coming to some sort of mineral, some sort of feed, and just kind of build up that pattern for them. The tree that I'm going to set up in, I got to clear out a couple branches for the shooting lane, but it's about 30 yards away from the spot, and it is great. I just set the sticks up in the tree. We didn't film that or anything, but I'll put the view from the tree in the video here and then show you where it's at on the actual spot. But I mean, shoot, I'm probably about almost 20 feet up in the tree. Once I get a platform and a bow hanger and get it all set up during season, it's going to be great. It's definitely like, it stinks that I'm going to wait till later season, later October, early November to get into this stand here, but it's just so productive. There's so much activity. I don't even want to waste any chances coming here and blowing something out early season. So once bucks start to get moving, in the rut, I am so excited. This is going to be a great spot. So we're going to put a little bit more corn out here. I'll kind of show you some B-roll of just how much activity this spot's getting. And then we'll be good to go. I'll show you the last spot here then. One strategy that I've been using for the past year or so, I really started using it last year and saw really good results out of it, was anytime you have like mineral or feed or bait or anything set up, I've started covering it up with branches. I honestly don't even remember where I saw the tip from, but it was really good because like the theory behind it is that the deer, when they come to get at it, they'll have to kind of kick it out of the way and use their hooves to clear out those branches to get to more feed. So it just kind of encourages them to use their feet, spread a little bit more scent. So anytime that I do that now on like a mineral spot, I'll always put some branches over the feed. And then I try to spread out as much corn because like it's great having them concentrated in one spot. But if I can get deer all over this spot, even if there's not like a huge quantity of corn in any one spot, it's just really nice having corn spread all over, because then you have deer going all over your spot, spreading tons of scent. So I really like spreading corn out as much as I can, but the one concentrated spot that I do have corn on, I'll cover up with branches and stuff, because most of the time, like raccoons, smaller animals aren't strong enough to get underneath them and get to that spot. But those deer that can kind of be picky and get in there, it's really good, and it helps them, encourages them to spread a little bit more scent. We just got wrapped up on the third spot. This is probably the most recognizable spot for many of like the hunting that I've done, just because it is the big open food plot area. So the ladder stand is right over over my shoulder here that I hunted out of last year. I shot 2 does out of that, and then I set up in a saddle on the north side of that same plot here. So really, all of those spots are gonna stay. I took down the sticks that I hung a saddle out of there, just because I want to be able to keep switching that up, just kind of depending on the wind, depending on where I see deer. There's a little south plot that I see a lot of deer moving in kind of later in like the second half of the early season, once stuff starts to cool down. So I wanted to move a platform a little bit closer. So I got 4 sticks high in that. And there's this little choke point that I see them consistently going over from the food plot that I have hunted out of for the past couple years to the little kind of miniature plot on the south side. So I set up over that choke point. It should be really good as far as getting a lot of traffic just going throughout the saddle there. I'm really excited for it. I'm gonna put a second stand up next to the ladder stand just for kind of like the bougie area. If I want to get just a lot of comfort, just have a nice hunt, have 2 guys sitting up in 2 stands in the same tree, just be more of a laxed setup. So I'm going to keep those set up there. But then really the good part about this area is that there's so many trees along the borders of these plots here that I can set up a saddle in. So depending on where the wind is, depending on where I'm seeing deer, I can pop up all over the place. I'll go ahead, I'll mark some things on the screen as far as like trees that right now I have set up along the food plot here. And it's, the great thing about saddle hunting is that there's, your creativity is your limit. You can go into the area and find a tree and set up in it super fast. Leah and I called an audible, set up on the south plot here last year. So my approach for it this year is going to be really similar to that, just setting up where the deer are, where the wind's going, and not necessarily having a stand or a tree in this spot here, but just being able to have, you know, this spot in general and hunt out of it where I need to. So that is the last stand that I'm kind of hunting out of here, the last spot that I have set up, kind of my big three. I have a couple other like secondary spots I'm not really looking at too hard. I'm getting locked in on these three on this property. But hopefully you guys found a little bit of information out of this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you do, go ahead, like the video, comment down below if you noticed anything, if you have any pointers or anything like that. And as always, stay subscribed. If you are not subscribed to the channel, go ahead, click the button down below. Stick forward for the videos that are coming out here. Hunting season's getting closer and closer, and it is going to be bigger than last year. That is the goal every year. So we'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a blessed day. We'll see ya.